Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Boy, Son of Kratos.
God damn it, Ryan. Okay, so I just want to follow up on something because last part I was definitely paying attention to the gameplay and definitely not playing Magic the Gathering Arena on another tab. So Kratos chopped down trees for the fire for his wife, and he said that she had marked specific trees to use, and Kratos chopping down those trees broke the circle of protection.
Yes.
Why would she mark trees that would break the circle of protection?
Interesting question.
So is Kratos' wife a dick?
I mean,
Boy, son of dick. Coming this fall.
I mean, if they were to make an Atreus game, it would be a fitting title, you know. But, like, I feel like you have to have a certain amount of unresolved anger issues if you want to, like, marry Kratos. You know, like, you have to have something to get along, because what else are you going to talk about? Like,
we both loved killing things.
it's like, what, do they go to bar trivia on Thursdays, you know, together? Like,
Oh, man. There was that one time I solved a puzzle, and there was a guy in a cage, and he totally fucking died.
Yo, same. There was this time when I was fighting my god, and then I fucking threw an innocent man off a cliff. We're meant for each other.
Do you... I hate all the gods. What a coincidence. I hate all the gods, too.
And then Kratos just starts sweating because he was a god at one point.
I think it's fairly clear that the mom knew exactly who he was, though.
That the mom knew what was going on with Kratos and either didn't care or it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay. That is also an interesting thing in regards to relationships like this, which is obviously not the point of this game because it's about the game developers are now old enough to have their own kids around 10 years old kind of storylines. I mean, what?
It's true.
Man.
But, like, there is something interesting to explore in this series that I'm hoping they'll go deeper into, and that's the fact that Kratos is effectively immortal. And, you know, no matter what kind of person you are, but especially if you're the kind of bad person Kratos is, living for such a long time is going to seriously fuck with your brain. And that they kind of, like, lightly touched on that in God of War 2, because he sort of went off the rails at the beginning of that game.
How old is Kratos supposed to be?
Multiple hundred years old.
Oh, so this took place centuries after God of War.
We don't really. Somewhat. Again, we don't have an actual age for him.
Okay, but it's implied it's been a long ass time since the first 3 games.
Yes,
but, like, living for that long, like, people, like, will say that they wish they could live forever, but if you live forever, you're accumulating experiences forever, and eventually you're either going to get bored, or there's going to be too much bad stuff piling up, or any number of other things that aren't healthy for a human brain, and eventually you're just going to lose it all, you know? So, like, what does that look like when it's in progress? And Kratos is, like, well far enough into his immortal lifespan to, like, really go into that.
Got it.
But the old school God of War games were not the kind of games that could delve into a subject like that. I think this new style could.
Is this made by the same people who made the original God of War games?
Sort of. It's the same general studio, but a lot of the people have left since then. Okay. I think the director for this game is Cory Barlog, not Balrog. Everyone gets that confused, and I have to stop myself from doing that every time. Generally speaking, I think he's one of the few people who did technically work on the original games and is still around.
Okay. So it's a very different team then.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm going to do a little bit of
here's
research here, as in look up the studio and see what they did in between.
It's Sony Santa Monica.
Sony Santa Monica, yeah. I just want to... Didn't that studio shut down recently,
No.
or am I thinking of a different one?
You're thinking of a different... things like Sony Japan or something like that.
Okay. Oh, well, they didn't really do much in between God of War 3 and God of War this game.
Yes.
I hate stupid reboot titles.
That's a weird subtitle.
Yeah, because by the internal development group, it's God of War. They did a game called Kinetica back in 2001, but it's God of War 1, 2, 3, then Ascension, and then nothing until this game 5 years later. So
They probably spent those 5 years making this game.
yeah, I mean, maybe it wasn't the God of War game the entire time, or maybe a bunch of different stuff happened. Like, game development is a messy business.
Yeah.
Stuff
Also,
changes all the time.
I mean, they just said during the gameplay and just more info reveal for Ragnarok is that this is only going to be 2 games.
Oh,
specifically because Corey said that it's like game development takes way too long now. We can't be working on the same style of gameplay and franchise for like 15 plus years.
You know, I admire the restraint because everybody's like, "Oh, it has to be a trilogy." No, it doesn't have to be anything.
Says who?
You get so fixated on specific like sweet spot numbers for these series. Like, yeah, it's okay for something to end on the first iteration or the second iteration, but everyone loves the trilogy and everyone loves the 7 book set, you know?
I don't think a lot of people love the 7-book set, especially when the author dies midway writing book 6, you know?
Yeah, but that's my point, is that, like, you know, people expect there to be a certain number of things, but, like, you never see a book series end at book 4 or book 5 anymore, you know? But, like, there are words for that. There's quintets, there's quartets. Doesn't always have to be a trilogy.
Sometimes it's a trilogy even when it is 5 books long. Thank you.
Or,
oh, God.
Thanks.
Fuck, I ruined my own joke. Hitchhikers. God damn it. Yep.
Kratos just says Sideshow Bob mumbles at that point.
It's like they should have played like a Three Stooges sound clip when he's like, "Oh, look, it's safe."
This is a situation that shouldn't have gotten this bad, because like there's plenty of handholds on that bridge.
Your haste will cost us.
Yeah, but Kratos also weighs 500 pounds, so him getting on that bridge definitely sped up the process.
Kratos.
More Draugr.
It's like 100 of that is in his beard.
Are they dead? I mean, more dead?
Don't. Kid, stop.
Wait, they stretched out the boy in the subtitles.
Well, I mean, that's how he said it. He's just like super annoyed now. Yeah, you're just causing all kinds of trouble right now.
They do make a good job of making Atreus kind of annoying early in the game.
Well, I mean, he's a 10-year-old kid, so like they are annoying.
Normally they either make them so annoying you kind of don't care about their journey, or they're so sweet, you know, they're such a good kid. It's like any trouble they get into is really forced.
Yeah. Children are the hardest characters to write.
Because they don't act rationally in most instances.
Yeah, like, you know, every time I read fan fiction involving kids, they always act like they're 40 years old because, like, most people don't know how to write kids. Like, every Harry Potter story about Slytherins basically writes the kids as being these really like refined political savvy types who are constantly worrying about factions and connections. No, they're not doing that at 11 years old, no matter what house they're in. I'm sorry. That's just not how that happens. But, you know, the bottom line, though, is that, like, most people don't really get kids because we don't remember ourselves at that kind of young age. Do any of you remember yourselves when you were 10?
It's not so much remembering yourselves; it's more remembering the thought process is the problem.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Although I don't,
you remember the thought process,
I don't have too many clear memories of that time either. But like the thought process, do you remember the way you used to think, the way you used to act, and why? Because I sure as shit don't. What?
The only thought process I had back as a 10-year-old was, man, I really wish they lived in the living room now so I can play the PlayStation.
Okay, so that was actually pretty cool how that enemy jumped down and Atreus immediately unloaded like 3 arrows into it. It's
Yeah,
just
because
like, you
he's
know.
not listening to his dad. Kratos was literally like, accuracy over speed. You know,
No, that was me pressing the button to get him to fire.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Atreus, accuracy over speed. Now shoot the fuck out of that guy. Yeah, Dad. Pew, pew, pew. Oh yeah. Speaking of, I know that him calling Atreus boy is like it's a story thing because like, oh, he's distancing himself. Does he ever call him by his name by the end?
I mean, he already called him his name earlier in the game.
Oh, okay.
it's not that he doesn't like. It's not like. I don't think he's really distancing himself. I think he's just habitually distant. But also, he comes from a pretty harsh society, so I think reminding the boy of his youth is just part of the process from his perspective.
Kratos needs therapy.
It's kind of like he's reminding the kid that he's
You
not.
are beneath me. You listen to what I say, etc.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically Kratos' life before he became the god of war, is that he was a military officer in a military society. Oh boy. Now we got something interesting happening.
So now we have to use the.
I misheard that it's too fast for your ass. I mean, valid.
Yeah, so
you have to be
this is the
about
first
it.
enemy where you have to use the boy's arrows to kind of stun her. So Kratos
Yeah.
can run in.
Never thought I'd see one of those.
Can Kratos not read?
Not Nordic.
Okay.
We'll also get into some stuff with Atreus later, but obviously he's demi-human because of Kratos. And his whole shtick is that it's not strictly important, so I don't mind saying it now. His sort of godly power thing is he can literally just understand all languages, including animal talk.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh. So that would be why Kratos from Greece can talk to his son from.
Well, I mean, he
yeah.
raised his son, so I would assume he would have taught it the same language.
That's how you get down here.
But like, well, yeah, but like, at the same time, it's not really acknowledged what language they're speaking.
Oh, they're speaking English.
We're talking in universe context.
That's not
Galactic
how that
Standard.
works. That's not how that works. English is always a proxy. Like, everyone in the Witcher games is speaking Polish. That's just how it happens.
Okay,
But,
you
you know.
see, you realize that eventually they're going to make the God of War JRPG spin-off, right? And of course, since it's the JRPG spin-off, he's going to fight God, like the Abrahamic
The
God.
Judeo-Christian-
And
yes,
then
the
the
Judeo-Christian one.
Tower of Babel will fall in that game, thus establishing why Kratos can speak both Nordic and Greek. There, see? I am very smart.
I get it.
Also, a God of War JRPG sounds bad. Don't do that.
Why do I have to stand here the entire time?
Yeah, you
Can
just
I don't
see
know.
Kratos standing there holding an axe in the Blades of Chaos, like bopping back and forth.
This is assuming it's turn-based.
No,
They're
just
making
like-
the God of War JRPG. It better be
Look,
turn-based.
just make the game in the Yakuza 7 engine. It'll work.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah, they're just
Zeus, head of the
standing
Greek
there.
family.
Get back up.
You see, Kratos just keeps getting older, and as we said, as you get older, you get bored of things more clearly. So he just decided that for a game, he's gonna take turns with the enemies. Like,
Dame.
I love the way the shield is implemented into the combat style, by the way. The fact that it's a retractable shield that just opens whenever the fuck it wants to is.
I'm not afraid.
If we
It makes it feel very snappy.
understand,
I can fight.
you will stay out
The
of
trouble with shields in most games is that they have a tendency to encourage turtling, and that's not what's happening in God of War. The fact that the shield is something that you can just snap out like that gives the shield itself a visual indicator that it's supposed to be something that you can pull out and put away on the fly. So you tend to work that into your combat style.
this game also very clearly emphasizes blocking more than dodging, because Kratos is not super mobile. So making the shield satisfying is pretty important. Many games where you can block, I never do. one of the big examples I can think of is Hyrule Warriors.
You can block in Kirby.
Yeah, you can block it. Yeah, you can block in Kirby. Did you know that? Like, if you want to get through Arena, you often want to. But I'm just a wimp, and I'll use the powers that have the perfect blocks where you don't even take any damage, and you just like hide in the grass or whatever. But like, yeah, like in Hyrule Warriors, I never block. I just like sidestep all over the place because it just feels more natural.
Oh, you taking shimmy everywhere.
Yeah, you know.
Well, you know, Dynasty Warriors games don't really encourage you to sit still, so they don't encourage you to block much either.
Yeah, but like even game, that's one of the reasons why. Part of it's just because I'm not a huge fan of the Platinum game style, but part of why I'm not really super interested in Metal Gear Rising is that the gameplay is based around parrying, and I hate parrying in video games. I'm terrible at it in every game where it's a feature. Can't do it, hate it. So, yeah, probably not playing that one.
I don't remember the parrying in Revengeance being particularly hard, and I'm not super good at parrying myself.
Well, it shouldn't have been because it's a main fucking mechanic of the game.
Yeah. But, like, it's such an odd fit for a cyborg ninja because, like, everything we saw of Raiden before then and everything we saw of Gray Fox before him was very mobile and evasive, as you would expect a ninja to be.
I guess it's not really a ninja thing, but it's more of a samurai thing where you, like, deflect their blow and then strike.
Well,
after
that's the thing. That's the thing. It totally fits when you're playing as Sam.
Yes.
Who has a samurai motif to his visual design. But Raiden, it's weird.
Raiden technically doesn't have a fighting style. His style is cut you the fuck up until you're dead.
If it works.
Yeah, but like...
No, watch me do breakdance kicks with geckos on my feet.
I wear a sombrero.
Atreus, follow me.
Yeah, so it's like you'd expect him to be more of a dodge type character, but I guess like they wanted to focus on you sitting still and doing the multi-directional slash attacks, so they ended up focusing in on something that didn't require you to be mobile and could transition into the multi-directional slash attacks.
Kratos, there's 30 other things in that chest, and you only took the bag of jelly beans?
Well, okay, so in New Game Plus, when you have something from your last game, they just replace it with money and like a buff thing.
But it's important to make the shield snappy and not omnipresent in a behind-the-back game like this in particular, because like when you're up close like this, it is easier to get into the mindset of blocking than it is to get into the mindset of dodging, because you can't see quite as far to the left and only a certain distance to the right. So you're less inclined to naturally move in those directions without turning the camera first.
Can you set it so that Kratos is in the bottom right instead of the bottom left?
No.
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense because he's right-handed, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, it's because he's right-handed, so...
Well, you know, I don't really see that as something that should be reflective of what hand you're holding your weapon in. It's more just an aiming aid. Sometimes you're in situations where it's more beneficial to the player to be able to aim from the left side than the right side.
It also
regardless
allows you
of
to
like
see more
what
of the
dominant
animation.
hand is.
Though is the thing. Like if you bring the weapon out to your right and then swipe it, you see more of the animation of him moving it and stuff. They don't want a lot of that covered off screen.
Well, yeah, but that's not, you know, putting that choice in the player's hands is like, you know, they're voluntarily choosing that. That's fine. But like, sometimes when you're dealing with ranged attacks, whether it's bows or guns or a throwing axe, it becomes frustrating to not be able to shift your perspective to the other side, because sometimes the environment just isn't particularly cooperative with aiming on exclusively the right side, you know?